Hey y'all, Kelly from Broken Carnivore. Uh, welcome to my channel. Welcome to my live. This is my second live. I'm beyond grateful that people's going to stop by. I know we have another live going on the same time that had to be scheduled for this day, which is all right. Which I'm kind of doing this live and watching this live at the same time. It's kind of weird. So I know Thomas is doing his live today for Alia Wells, and we know Alia is for she is helps out with Dr. Kills, do a lot of things. So I know that a lot of people is going to be tuned in there. I am tuned in just as well as some of the others. So you know, it is what it is. But I'm glad that once people here are stopping by, I think most of them are probably doing it both, just like I am. So I'm going to go say hi to a few people here. We got Jerry. She's one of my moderators. I was just listening to her, watching her live earlier. She had a really good live. And if anybody hadn't checked her channel out, I would suggest to go to Jerry's channel, subscribe to it, and also check out her live, especially on Sunday. It's really fun, and it's kind of like here on Sunday. We kind of have our little like prime time thing. We have Jerry, then me, Juliet, Doug, and then we have Amy, and at the end we have Grandma's Crochet Corner. We got the lovely Sandy. How you doing, Sandy? She always follows me. We Everywhere we go, no matter what, she's there with Russ. She's with Kilsis. She's with Amy everywhere, and I am proud to have her as a supporter. Thank you for supporting the channel, Sandy. And then we got Virginia Harrington. She must be Jerry's friend, and I'm glad that you stopped by the channel today and for this live. See if we got any more else. Oh, here we go. We got A Mason. Hello. Glad you stopped by. So grateful for you to be here to support. And then we have one of my other moderators, Juliet, which she'll be on at 4:45, 5:45 Eastern time. And so after I'm done here, go straight to Juliet's channel and join her live in comments. If you haven't subscribed to Juliet's channel, I highly suggest it because she has some great information out there. I am beyond grateful to be her neighbor to the north. She lives in Springfield, Missouri. I live in a small town north of Columbia, Missouri called Higbee, and I'm grateful that to be neighbors and that close. And hopefully, one of these days we get to meet in person because one of these days we would love to have a meetup here in Missouri. We've been talking about this for the past year because that's one thing we don't have here in Missouri is a meetup, and I'm hoping within the next year or two that 2027, 2028, we have a meetup, and I'm looking forward to that. The one thing I'm definitely looking forward is to the Keto Palooza. It is October, I believe, October 8th through the 10th, 2026, Louisville, Kentucky. I do have my ticket this week. I am planning on getting with my travel agent that takes care of my snappy gift that I get through work. I get a vacation package for being there for 15 years. I had some leftover from the last vacation package, and also 15 years, I got another gift and I choose another vacation package. So I have plenty of vacation voucher. And so I am going to make sure I get that hotel room booked so I don't have to worry about trying to scramble at the end because I know it won't be long. October will be here. I know we just got done with January and we're into February and we're halfway through winter. I'm actually grateful that we're getting there because I am so ready for March 20th, 21st. 20th is my mom's birthday. I know that is about the sign of the first day of spring. I am so looking forward to it. I know so far we had some parts of the country has not had had bad winter. Some had brutal winter. Here in Missouri, we had some cold spells. We did last weekend. We had a cold spell. We had snow, but that is to me typical January for this area. Once a year we usually have a cold. And so this week today, I'm grateful that we are reaching freezing temperatures outside. So hopefully the snow starts melting. I am so ready to see the green grass, the green leaves, the leaves putting trees putting leaves on the dead of winter. I am ready for it to be over with. Um, Absolutely. That's why I've been with this company for 15 years because they take care of the employees. They make sure they want us to do surveys to improve and everything. And this is the one thing they did 2 years ago was to improve to give us every 5 years a vacation package. Like if you've been there 5 years, you get 2,500. If you've been there 10 or more years, you get 5,000. And I think some of them, if you've been over 20, you might get 7,500. But I know over 10 years, you get 5,000. In 2024, I got a $5,000 vacation package. And then for being 15 years this last year for 2025, I got another 5,000. And the awesome thing is I hadn't been on a vacation a long time, and this was a great opportunity. It's the most inexpensive trip that I had to go on. I rented a car because I have a truck, but at the time, my truck, I didn't know, gas goes, run on gas and stuff. Plus, it's a higher mileage. I didn't know. I'm sure it would make it and make it around fine, but I rented a car and it was very inexpensive to rent. So probably the most expensive thing that I've done. But other than that, the vacation was awesome. I took my youngest daughter. We went to Nashville, Tennessee. I always wanted to go to the Grand Ole Opry. I always wanted to go, to Nashville to tour it because this was the home of country music. This is where country music got started. This is where the home of the Grand Ole Opry, and they have the historical Ryman Theater. You have the Country Music Hall of Fame. But also down there, they also have this is the biggest bachelor and bachelorette party destination. So you have to deal with that as well. But it was an awesome trip. I loved. I want to go back someday again to another Grand Ole Opry show, and hopefully that I get to do it here in the near future. But I'm not a big on living in cities, but I don't mind time to time to go venture to a bigger city like St. Louis, Kansas City, or Nashville. I don't know if I ever want to venture any bigger like New York City or LA, but um, or maybe Chicago. But maybe one of these days I'll take a train, Amtrak to Chicago, and spend the night and come back the next day because I can go 2 hours to Quincy, Illinois, get on the Amtrak, take Amtrak to Chicago just for an adventure. But other than that, I'm pretty much I love the outdoors. I love camping. So if I do any kind of vacation, I like to go down to southern Missouri, especially the Ozarks. That is my most favorite place to visit. Vacation camp. I used to ride horses for 15 years down there in the Eminence, Missouri area, and the beautiful clear crystal water, the current, the Jacks Fork River, the mountains, the hills. It is so beautiful down there, and I go down there camping, and it's only 3 to 4 hours to get there. So I definitely would do that. But going to a city to me, that's an adventure. And there's other cities I will eventually uh tour. So I am beyond grateful for my company for giving those vacations. Absolutely. Jerry had a question. What for me? What meetups will I plan to attending this year? Well, so far it's only going to be Keto Palooza, unless um I know they have a small meetup around Kansas City. I know they had that last year. Someone mentioned that, and so I might go to that one. It's only like 2 hours away, but so far right now with this, with the hip, it's uncertain. I don't know what other ones, but Keto Palooza, I'm definitely going to it. Eventually, I want to get to some other ones. My goal is for 2027 or 2028 to go to Meat Stock. I want to go there, and I definitely want to get the ticket, and I want to be, with everybody together at the cabins, because I think it'd be fun as a carnivore community with the doctors and the influencers and us family community that goes there. It'd be awesome. We all get together, we share our stories, we share our thoughts, even get the ideas from the doctors. Because one thing is, it's awesome to get to know the doctors. Like this last year, I got in person to meet three doctors at the Montello meetup. One of them was of course Dr. Kiltz. The other one, Dr. Nelson, and it was awesome to meet Dr. Tony Hampton. Um, that and Dr. Tony Hampton, he does do work there, doctoring, but he also does the carnivore way of life, and helping his patients by during while he's practicing doctor. That's pretty awesome, and he's an awesome guy to get to know. And Dr. Kiltz, that's awesome. And normally I usually don't get to see Dr. Kiltz's live on Sunday, but I had a child that wasn't feeling well, so we stayed home from church. And so I saw that Dr. Kiltz was having he was, joining in. So I decided to hop on the computer and be part of his meetup, or his part of his live this morning. And it was a really good informational. It was really good talk. It was me, Dr. Kiltz, Rick, and Thomas. And Dr. Hills asked some questions and thoughts of like the new food pyramid, what helped us, what's our story and stuff. And it was really awesome to be there this morning. And I don't get to do that often because I'm not missing church. There's the only reason why I was home today is because my child was ill. So yes, that was definitely Montello was a great meetup. It was awesome. I never been. This is the first time I've ever been to Wisconsin. I never been to very many states, but now I can put Wisconsin down as the state to visit. Um, most of my states I just visited or is like close by, like Illinois, Iowa, Kansas. um, I've been to Oklahoma, and then when we got to go to South Dakota 30 years ago on vacation, so South Dakota, I've been to Nebraska, and then when I got to do my very first mission trip, I got to go to the big state of Texas. I got to go through New Mexico. Of course, when we come back, you had to, you go through, and they stopped there at Roswell. And of course, they had big with the aliens and stuff. Some people believe the aliens. I really don't believe in aliens or extraterrestrial stuff, but it's neat to look at that stuff and their thoughts and stuff like that. Oh, we got Lizzie. Hi, Lizzie. How you doing? I'm glad you stopped by today, and it's really awesome that I have the support and people, because I didn't know with Thomas, which it was okay because this is Alia. I didn't know if I was going to have very many people here, but I'm seeing that I got quite a bit of support, and no matter what, we're here to have fun. I'm here to talk about anything, and my topic today is we just finished January, and it was World's Carnivore Month. And put it down in the comments what you did for uh, World Carnivore Month, and what you did and what results did you have. I said for me, I just did my normal thing. I did mostly my normal carnivore. And I don't worry about, I hadn't weighed myself anything. I haven't gained weight. I haven't lost weight. A lot of it is, my weight is probably maintained. Also, my body's probably back and forth trying to reduce the healing, trying to heal the hip that needs to be replaced. So no matter what, my clothes fit good. I feel great and I sleep good. And no matter what, I'm going to continue to do. Now, probably for February, and I had some indulge where I created, some recipes and stuff. And one of the things I did try was a carnivore cheese stick. And I did some of that, which it ended up being more like like a chicken parmesan without the parmesan, chicken parmesan, without the sauce on it. And it turned out pretty good, but I made a little butter sauce to dip with it so I can have the extra added fat because the ground chicken doesn't have much fat in it. So I so that's what I had. And so I'm going to probably start gearing down a little bit and kind of reduce because I had quite a bit of dairy. And so I'm going to try to do reduce my dairy quite a bit, except for the heavy whipping cream a little bit on the coffee. That's about the only thing. But other than that, I'm pretty much going to do maybe more of the BBBE, like bake beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Some days it depends on the day. One day I may just do a lion's eye. Sometimes I'll do beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, or beef, bacon, and eggs. And then every so often I'll throw in something unique. But I'm gonna try to gear down and because one thing I am looking forward to once I do get this hip replaced is how being on carnivore, how quick will I heal on this? And I I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm dreading, the surgery part, but I'm also looking forward to it because I am ready for this hip to be replaced. I'm ready to be able to have the flexibility back. With this snow for me, normally if there's no snow, I'm good without a cane. But this week I had to walk around with a cane because I can't take big steps. And when I take not big steps, I'll tend to slip. And I don't want to hurt that hip even worse. So I'm hoping soon that I get to hear from the Columbia Orthopedic Group. If I don't hear from them in the next week or two, I will be calling my former doctor's office and find out what's going on so we can get in. I know it can take a little bit to get in, but usually those places they get with you within 2 or 3 weeks, even if you have to do a month out or so. But my goal is, I'm hoping by no later than May, at least May, that I have my surgery. But I'm looking forward to it. Is it scary for me? Yeah, because it's trusting the Lord with my finances and stuff. But other than that, I'm pretty content. And I whatever it is, I'll trust Him in the finances. I'll trust Him to get through this. Listen to the doctors because this is very crucial with a hip. Any joint is crucial, but this is really crucial. And I want to make sure when I heal, I am healed fully, because that was the purpose why the doctor, the specialist, was releasing me, because he could do it, but he wants to make sure this is done right. This is done one time. You don't have to go in with the correct tools, with the correct equipment and stuff. He has confidence he can do it. He'd do it. He would love to do it, but with the equipment that they lack, he rather for me to be referred to somewhere else than that. So that's pretty good when a doctor says that. He cares about his patients. He cares about the well-being. Well-being. Jerry says fat fasting February and dry fasting Fridays in February for her. I remember Jerry just did a 40-day fast, and I've never did one. I know Dr. Nelson did 22 days. Kiltz did, I believe, 15. And Jerry does 40 every year around Thanksgiving and Christmas. That is willpower there, more power there. And I know when she does her testimony about that fast, her fasting 40 days, that she feels phenomenal, and she does it for a purpose, because in the Bible, Jesus, right after he was baptized by John the Baptist, he went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, and he fasted. And I don't even think he even had water. But one thing about Jesus, not only Jesus was a human, he was also God. But he put on his human flesh through this time, and of course, at the same time, the devil was tempting him, and he never took the temptation. That's one thing is I'm grateful to serve a God that done something that we don't deserve, a gift that we don't deserve, robed himself in the flesh to be submissive to the Father, died a brutal death, and was even to death on a cross. And the beautiful thing, that tomb is empty today, because he is risen, he is in heaven, and he is coming back someday. And I'm looking forward to that day, because as this world is getting worse. But while we're here, we are us Christians, we are the ambassadors. We are here to share the gospel for that time comes. So that's why I'll try to share much as I can about that. And I'm going to share my journey on Carnivore, because one thing about it is, for me, this channel is to help somebody, and I want to make sure that people are aware of Christ. And it's not my decision on that God will take care of that part. For me is to share that seed, to spread the seed, to plant the seed, just like sharing my journey. I'm not going to be here all in the future, but if I can leave something behind, a legacy like my carnivore journey, to help somebody, this channel, I would love that. Even if, no matter if one person gets that out of it, that's all that matters. We always could do 1% better. And I am so grateful for this channel. I'm so grateful for my subscribers. I'm so grateful for people that are watching my videos. And this last video I done, not the my thoughts on the new food pyramid, but the last video I did with the carnivore quiche went viral, and I've never seen that before. Last time I had seen video get over 1,000 views or high views is because I paid for a little promotion to grow the subscribers. This was without it. I wasn't expecting this. I was beyond grateful. I didn't think I was going to get maybe most 100 out of it, but I got over 6,000 views on that, and I got 300 and some odd subscribers added to that, plus some more. So thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching those videos. These are the things that give us an idea, because a lot of times we eat, we plain eat meat, we eat eggs, we eat, we have the fat. Very simple, because we want to keep it simple, we want to keep it pretty basic. But every now and then, that eating meat all the time or eating just eggs can get old. So breaking it up, that's great to have these little recipes. That's the one thing that Chris Cooking Nashville does. That's why I like his channel. That he invented these recipes, and sometimes that can break up the monotony, because doing them all the time can get expensive. Doing them all the time can lead us down the wrong, because a lot of this is you do have a lot of dairy in it, and sometimes dairy can hinder your weight loss. It can put on weight. And some people are sensitive to dairy. Some people are sensitive to certain eggs and stuff. But the one thing about it is that you can you know you can break that monotony, but have something different. Like, I just made a video that came out today, the taco shell, that recipe that I have there actually was based on a previous one as a keto one. And what I did is I took the almond flour, I took the xanthan gum out of that recipe, and I placed pork panko and beef gelatin. Now I have tried it. I think you can do it without the beef gelatin, and the cheese and the panko will do fine. But the one thing about that is that recipe, you better have a napkin with you, because with the pork panko and the cheese, it gets a little bit oily. But if you let this set for a little while, I think they'll be okay. But no matter what, it was delicious. It was just kind of an alternative to bring back tacos. So sometimes missing tacos, that's like a little thing that you can have every now and then. Now doing it all the time, it can probably wreak havoc on you, and it could hinder your journey. But doing it every now and then, I don't see a problem with it. Virginia said Jerry got me hooked on Chris in Nashville too. Yeah, I discovered Chris cooking Nashville in my beginning days of Carnivore. Before I was on that journey, because it wasn't but probably about 5 years ago I discovered Dr. Barry. And the one thing about Dr. Barry was I didn't know who this doctor was. I actually fell asleep and I woke up and this video was on, and I thought it was just some kind of doctor quack doctor that's, selling, helping sell some kind of supplement and for testosterone. And I didn't realize this doctor was actually giving real advice. And this is one thing that one video of all the Dr. Berries that I took definitely seriously. And I take that and I will share that with everybody. And I'll tell them, look up Dr. Berry and why wait. And because we always had this mindset, my mother had the same thing. I had the same thing. My mom said, I'm going to get back to eating straight. I'm going to wait till Monday. And I said, why wait? Why do you want to wait till Monday? I mean, that's what we always do. But I wouldn't wait till Monday. Why wait? That's what Dr. Barry said. I mean, in the video, he says, why wait? If you're watching this video at night, why are you going to wait till Monday? Why don't you start the next day? If you are watching this video this morning, why you're waiting? Start it today. And that's exactly what I did. That's the video that I will take. That's the video that I will tell people. It's like, why are you waiting? If you want your health, start today. And that's what I did. I kind of started carnivore, but when I discovered Dr. Berg, I kind of said, you know what, I think the vegetables and stuff, not understanding lectins, oxalates, all these plant toxins, I decided I'll go to a more of a well-balanced diet. This is where I learned a lot about the toxins, about the seed oils and stuff, but I wasn't aware of the plant toxins. And if I knew more about it, like if I discovered Sally Norton earlier, I would probably been carnivore a long time ago, and I wouldn't have ate a lot of the seeds and the nuts and stuff. And I think that was a lot of my issues with arthritis pain. That's why I was dealing with chronic inflammation before I did carnivore, and that's why I ended up taking a lot of ibuprofen. But when I went carnivore, I didn't even have to do that. But pre keto or pre that, I remember I used to get bad headaches, almost not quite migraine, but it's bad enough that I had to take ibuprofen. I had to close my eyes for about an hour and then to relieve it so I could move on. But when I took away sugar altogether and went total low carb, not one headache. I had not had one of those headaches since, in which that was probably a warning sign for me, because I always thought it was dehydration. I never drank enough water and all that. I think it was a warning sign for me to say, hey, look, you need to do something. Your body is saying, we have a huge problem here. And if you don't stop, you're going to be diabetic, or you're going to have a heart attack, or you're going to end up bad. So that's one thing about it is sometimes we need to listen to our bodies. Just like with this new food pyramid. Now I did my thoughts on it, and I'm grateful for that food pyramid. and the new guidelines and stuff, it's a start. We still have a ways more to go because they still demonize saturated fat. Because I know that you have people and they want the guidelines and stuff, so they have to meet everybody in the middle. But I'm hoping that as time goes, they say, okay, saturated fat is not the demon. It's not bad. We need it. It's a primary source. It's more than protein, because I feel that the fat is important. The fat is what helps our cholesterol, where we produce the quality cholesterol. So I believe that there's a lot more improvements, but the good thing is it's a start. Maybe we'll start seeing the schools and the nursing homes and the hospitals make some kind of improvement versus what they have today. Because the one sad thing about it is going to my going to the same school that I graduated 30 years ago. I know there wasn't no nutritional food there then, but it's sad to walk through. When I was younger, walk through, I never ate breakfast there, but walking through and you have a variety of breakfast. They had eggs, they had bacon, they had sausage, even with the cereal and all that. You today, my daughter goes to school there, and it's sad to walk through the same cafeteria that you walk through and you see no eggs, nothing. It's all carbs. You might see a sausage, you might see a piece of bacon, but it's all carbs. You see more donuts, you see pancakes, you see cereal. And it's sad that we have this epidemic, health epidemic here in this country, and it's due with these high processed carbs. And a lot of us dealt with that. We dealt, each one of us, we dealt with that at one time. Except for Rick, matter of fact, he actually dealt with it probably over 40 years ago before he became the carnivore king. And so I truly believe that this is a problem. And it was starting when before I was born, but it started really going out of hand when I was a kid, but it really went out of hand after I became an adult. And so I believe that I'm hoping that this is a change, and then that they make more changes as time goes. I don't, but depends on what the next administration does after this is up. They may go back, say, nope, we're going back to the old one, and then we're really in trouble. But the biggest thing I tell people is, no matter what, it's good to listen to your doctor in a way before you start any. It's good to consult with your doctor. It's good to consult with a nutritionist and all that. But sometimes we have to take the reins. We have to take our health in our own hands, and we have to step up and do it. And a lot of us did that. We decided enough was enough. And when we started hearing stories about healing through carnivore and keto and all this stuff, just like me, the reason why I went carnivore, I started going back because I was like, something's not right here. I'm hurting. This is miserable. I'm slowly gaining weight. And then what I'm thinking, I'm eating the healthiest with spinach and eating a balanced diet. And I'm slowly gaining weight. I'm slowly gaining more chronic inflammation. And then all of a sudden, I decided, you know what? We'll start go back, start reviewing Dr. Berry. And then that's when I started finding Kerry from Homestead How, and all when he went carnivore and what he healed. Bill Knott, how amazing that he lost over 350 pounds. Carnivore Quest. Let's see who else. Bella, Steak and Butter Gal, Laura Spath. Um, see who else that I learned from that. I watched Lily Kane. How and that's what gave me decided to start. You know what? I'm going to start. I was still skeptic about only eating a meat based diet. I feel that eating meat was good, but I think you needed variety. But I said, okay, I decided that the day that I started, it marks my anniversary date. I decided I'm going to give it one day. And so I started. And then I gave it, and I noticed, and okay, the amount of food I ate. I didn't realize that I ate a lot of food. I mean, I for supper, when I got home, I had 6 burger patties from McDonald's, and then I got home that day and I had 2.5 pounds of ground beef, 4 eggs, and some bacon. I'm like, yeah, I'll gain some weight, and it did the opposite effect. So I'm like, okay. The next day, I ate the same thing, and I'm like, this ain't right. I'm losing weight. And then the next day I'm eating more than I was on keto. I was eating more than I was eating 3 meals a day through standard diet. And I'm like, what's going on? And I noticed in each day I was starting to feel a little better and better. And then I'm like, as the weekend comes, I'm like, oh, great, here comes Monday again. Now I'll start relaxing. I'm rested up, and I feel good. I know by the end of the day, I didn't really have any pain by the end of the day. And then Tuesday, where I'm the same apartment, I made that exact same decision to start Carnivore. I knew that we had to do baseboards. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to get them done, but we're going to get them done. And then it was unbelievable how quick I got. Granted, it was a 577 square foot, but when you have a hip that and a knee and a foot that was chronically inflamed, and you get it done in 3 hours, I figured it was going to be 2 days because I was going to have to rest. 3 hours, equipment back in the shop, everything was done. And I was like, okay, it was a little emotional. So I decided I am going to give it 30 days. And of course, now I'm in it. I can't remember 500 and something. I have to count up, but I know it's a year and a half and I'm still at it and I'm grateful. Granted, time to time, I have fermented fruit. I have pickles. I have sauerkraut. I may, going to Texas Roadhouse now and then to go out to eat. It gets expensive if you get meat only. So I'll go there and I may get a ribeye and I may get a baked potato and I may get green beans, but that's it. I may do that time to time. I will do fruit in season time to time. That's what we kind of was like at after the garden. We were hunters and gatherers, and you know I do what was within season, and I feel great. And this is the first time that my weight has held. This is the first time that I had no issues other than the hip, no pain, but the discrepancy. But I'm grateful for that. We got some more people came in. We got Grandma's Crochet Corner. If you haven't been to her channel, I highly suggest subscribing to her, going to her channel. She's the one that ends the Sunday night with a live, and it's really awesome. I'm glad, Barbara, you stopped by. Thank you for coming by. And then I know we have another person. It's my neighbor from the West. Hi, Helix. How you doing? I'm glad you stopped by today. I know she is planning on going to Meat Stock, I believe, this year. She has done I believe she's doing the Lions diet, and now she's going to extend that Lions diet because she feels that she does best on that. And we support you no matter what, Helix. Go for it. We're, you're doing great. Go by her channel, check out her channel. Please subscribe to her channel. I don't know if she's still doing some lives, but I know she did lives there for a little bit, and I'd come in there on my lunch break time to time and chat with her, and it is really awesome. It's support her channel. She's trying to get her channel to grow, and I'm hoping that she gets to grow, and I hope it blossoms out because she did some drawings. She had some really neat drawings as well. There he says, "Me too. Give me a pickle." I love my favorite pickles are the deli style pickles, and I like the Clausen deli style pickles that you get in the meat section. But my all-time favorite pickles I get is from a grocery store called Natural Grocers. We have one in Columbia, Missouri. It's right, well, it was right next door to where I work at, but they moved down a couple blocks down from me, and they have their store brand spicy dill pickles. Oh my goodness, those are phenomenal for pickles. Absolutely. If you have any questions, please put them down. I'd be glad to answer them. Helix says, "Yep, I am excited. Did a trail for 20 I did a trail for 27 days. Now it's two of our 90 days. And thank you. Might be able to do some lives soon. Yes, I'm looking forward to Helix. It's really awesome to speak with or come around and speak with our family, no matter if it's Thomas, no matter if it's Jerry, Amy, Rick, um, um, let's see who else, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Nelson, Russ, Mitch, Bob and Jeff from Carnivore Talk. It's awesome, and that's one thing about it is we're here with this with our channels. Is like, are we here to make money? No, absolutely not. We're here to share our journey, share our thoughts, share our suggestions to help others, and hoping that we reach people out there because the one thing that really you don't really know that you're being an inspiration, and especially to your family and friends when you come around and you speak to people and they say, "Yeah, we've been watching your channel." I'm like, "What? Are you getting a good like?" For me, I said, "Are you getting a lot?" No, we think they're really good. And, they're really good, informational, and you know, one, I have a sister in Christ, a good friend. She lives in Moberly. She's a nurse practitioner for the Hannibal Regional Medical Center. They have a office there in Moberly. She's a nurse practitioner there, and she, of course, she noticed in my journey, and she knows that I was like lost a lot of weight and stuff because she sees me on Wednesday night because her daughter goes to a youth group, and she's like, "You lost a lot of weight." And when I told her what I did, she said, "That's really awesome." And she's a nurse practitioner. And the one thing does, she actually, when people are dealing with health issues like diabetes or they want to lose weight and they deal with chronic inflammation, she actually points them to my channel. I told her to check out other channels as well. And I am I was unbelievable and shocked that, and I was like blessed that there is people you even in your area that watches your videos. And I know I have some people in the church, that goes to the same church I do that watches my videos. And I know like every year, the one thing that the most I want to make sure I always do is when I go on these mission trips, I want to I always want to make sure that I record the opportunity of what we did for a family, because building that home in Mexico, that's just a tool. We're the hands and feet. It's what God does in that home is what makes that home a Casas house, a house for Christ. That's what Casas por Cristo is, houses by Christ. And it's just a tool. Jerry has a question here. It says, "Do you have a smoker?" I don't have a smoker. I love to get one someday. What I usually do is I have a Weber kettle charcoal grill. What I do is I do an indirect grilling method where I put the charcoal on the one side. I'll put the meat farthest away on the cool side, and I will do a rare temperature. I'll do a slow and roast or slow and smoke, whatever it is on that. And then what I do is I take, once I get that desired rare temperature, close to rare as I can get, because I do want to have it rare much as I can. I don't care if it's chuck roast. I don't care if it's rib eyes, whatever kind of red meat steak. Even I've done on there, I've done big hamburger patties, bacon wrapped burger patties and stuff. And what I usually do is I get that desired temperature, and then I'll do is that's why I always have hot gloves. If you ever get a chance to watch two of my videos, you will see one of them is the ribeye on the grill, and the other one is chuck roast on the grill. And if you ever go back to watch them, you'll see what I do. I'll have gloves on. I have welder's gloves. And what I do is I'll take that after I'll pull my thermometers, and I will spin that grill around, and I will do a sear or a reverse sear on it on both sides. And then that's how I eat. I love it. But yes, I want to get a smoker someday because I love to do smoking meat and stuff like that. Hey, Rick is in the house. Our duck man iguana. Have you seen any iguanas falling out of the trees yet? Since it's so cold there, Rick. Um, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, there's no money on YouTube for sure, but I'm not really worried. If I do I'm getting closer to where I can get monetized. I'm not looking forward to getting rich. I have a job. I have a job, and hopefully that the job will blossom into something bigger through the company. But it's what it is what I would like to do is to get if I can get enough to help supplement the cost of the CapCut, the EV Mux streaming service, and some of my other stuff that cost money to be able to do it. If it helps supplement those costs, that's all that matters. And if I one day if someone comes and I get a sponsor like Element or Butcher's Box or something, I'm not looking forward to getting rich. I'm just looking forward to help supplement these small cost of the software, streaming software, the software that I use for video editing, and the non-copyright music software that I pay for every year. It just helps that cost. But other than that, I I'm my channel is here. I'm like, if it's just one person that all it watches, and if it helps them, that's all that matters to me. Helix says, "Hey Mopar, we have some Canadian geese that aren't shy. Go shopping." And then Rick says here, "Quack quack honk." Here you go. This is one thing I totally agree what Julia said here. Carnivores unite and support, and that's one thing that's one reason why we do what we do here is because we want to support one another. We want to support you out there that is struggling with your weight or with your health or with some kind of disease and stuff like that. And no matter what, each and one of us may have some similar stories, but we all have a different story. And no matter what, one may be heart failure, one may be like mine, chronic inflammation, one type 2 diabetes, trying to reverse type 2 diabetes, or I am trying to get my heart attack, no matter what. And that's why we're here for. And Rick is a living example of someone that's been on carnivore for over 40 years and lives this lifestyle. And no matter what, he's almost 60, he's in his 50s and he's still trying to get that heart attack. And, he may get it someday, but who knows? But just like me, a year and a half in carnivore, I feel better today than I feel better at 47 years old than I did in my 20s when when I was on the standard diet and I was smoking cigarettes. And it wasn't quite after, 20 years ago, I was weighing almost 400 pounds, and I was dealing with health issues, and yeah, I did the moderation and stuff back then, and yeah, I can only lose about 40 pounds, and then I had varicose vein surgery, and I got the weight down, but I can lowest I can get was 315. And when you're doing moderation, you get burnt out. You go and try to physically work out and exercise, you're going to go. And I got down to 315, but then my youngest daughter was conceived in 2009. And of course, at that same time, I was building a barn. I was building a little goat barn where I used to live, over 16, 17 years ago. And not only that, you go to work. This is when these our gas stations in our area, they decided to start with a 79-cent soda. So guess what I did? I got a 32-ounce soda, not only once, but twice a day, maybe 3 times. And I gained a ton of weight. I gained most of that weight. I lost almost back. So and then you do the same thing. You gain, you lose. And that's the way I was yo-yo back and forth. And I was just like this right before 2020. I was back almost back to 400. And of course, and I went to keto, and now this is the first time that I am back at my high school weight. I'm back where I was when I was in high school. When I was in 11th, 8th, or ninth, 10th, and 11th grade, I was in a size 40. I was around 270 to 280. Right now, my weight's around 280, and it's holding. This is the first time my weight is not creeping up. My clothes are not too big, too small. I'm not getting bigger, and I feel great. And no matter what, I'm going to continue what I'm doing. I may do a change up here and there, but that's because to give my body, because sometimes if we get in the same routine, I believe in the same routine. It's like intermittent fasting. I don't eat till noon, 1 o'clock. Sometimes I'll eat till my feeding windows from between 12 to 8. And after a while, your body's going to get used to it. So things change. So sometimes I'm going to start changing it up. I may eat breakfast, but then I may not even eat supper. So, and then I may do a 24 to 36 hour fast in between. So that's some of my goals that I'm going to do this coming month is to I want to do a change up. Maybe one day I'll do beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. The next day I may do Lion's diet. It's just whatever it is. I do drink coffee, but I hadn't decided if I'm going to go and continue coffee because I do have this yerba mate tea that I bought that I want to start trying more. And I thought about getting away from the caffeine, not the caffeine, but away from the coffee, because sometimes this, especially your cheaper coffee, and it's full of toxins. It's cheap coffee. It's not as great, but also coffee sometimes is a diuretic. And for me, when I did a trial 30 days not having coffee, I didn't miss the coffee. What I missed was the hot drink. So I started replacing it with, I had some element I did replace it with, but with this yerba mate tea, I'm going to start trying it and start interpreting it and go from there and try to get away from the coffee once and for all. Cause, for $13, $14 for cheap coffee, I'm kind of trying to save costs, but also at the same time, I'm also try to go to a different route. So if I have something hot to drink, I think that will actually help me no matter what. I even done to the point where I was doing hot water the last time I tried it. So I'm almost through with this, and I hadn't decided if I'm going to go on forth or I'm just going to go ahead and convert into the tea because I love hot tea and I'll drink it. So Helix says, I feel better now too. 30, she's 30, at 32 years old, 3 years ago, my legs would go numb and I would be in pain. I feel for you. I mean, that's the one thing that I was dealing with was this chronic inflammation. And before that, before even keto, before I discovered Dr. Barry, I was dealing with bad headaches. It wouldn't be 2, 3 times a week, I would get this bad headache and I would have to take ibuprofen because I always thought it was just dehydration. But I didn't drink no more water, and I was drinking less water, and I wasn't even having even less headaches. So I knew that it wasn't dehydration; it was something else. Rick says that I am 10 years younger than he is. That is fact. I graduated in '96, and I know Rick said he was a young adult or graduated in the '80s. I remember he's talking about that. Rick says here, I have no regular job. I have to do odd jobs. I have to do odd work to survive. Yes, sometimes that's what we have to do, and no matter what, and you live in your means. You have to do what you need to do to get by, and no matter what. Rick is one of those that is very creative, and that's why I love watching his lives. I like even on the other streaming platforms that in his videos because he's very thrifty. He's very mechanically inclined, and he does his own mechanics. And I definitely, because I watched this video where he tore apart, or he took apart. He had his 7.3 IDI engine, tore it apart, and he was talking about his pistons, what pistons went, and what he's planning on doing with the engine and all that, uh, to store it. And that was a pretty awesome video. I'm definitely looking forward to that truck being back together, because that year of trucks, of Ford trucks, those were my favorites, because I had one. My dad had two or three of them. Even the next generation that was just like it, they call it the OBS. I had one. My dad had two or three of them. Um, and I even liked the '80s, what they called the bull nose. I really like those. So those are the some of my favorite trucks, and I'm hoping that one of these days I can have one of those trucks. Is My opinion is I'd rather have something that's 40 years old, knowing that I can fix on it, I can work on it, I can do what I can within reason, versus with these $100,000 pieces of junk that they have today, that you have to have 5,000 computers on, and did 5,000 different computer programs just to go find a sensor that I think is senseless on your vehicle. Grandma Crochet Corner says she was the class of '78. That's the year I was born, 1978. Rick said, I have had that truck for 18 years. And that was one that is very sought after for no matter what. A lot of people is popular. That truck is a popular model. I totally agree with that. A lot of these trucks are just ugly. I Don't get me wrong. There's some nice looking trucks out there new. If I end up new, and which it has to be, it's gonna have to be old and busted before I even be able to afford it. But the only truck that'd be close to I ever would want is a 2020, not 2020, but 2020 Ford F-250, because there's the only ones that to me it appeals, that has good reviews and stuff. Other than that, the rest of it is, I don't even know if I want it. And especially these days, I didn't even like my truck before I bought it. I didn't even know. Oh, I didn't know that that it had a box frame. And especially if you have box frame truck like I have, like here, my not, excuse me, my frame is really solid. But if you live up north, that truck only lasts 10 years. And so, I'm grateful my truck's got the miles, and it will not I will not get rid of it until she's done. But other than that, yes, I definitely rather have the older vehicles. Ju- Juliet says, is laughing, nothing like hearing Kelly was born the year you graduated. Yeah. Welcome, small world. Someone that follows graduated high school before or when I was born, the year I was born. Oh, look who's in the house. Hi, Amy. Amy's here. Glad you stopped by today. My daughter was in do what? Yes, my daughter want to show her new thing that she just got. Her new toy that she got that she wants to learn to play music on. So, see, Rick says low play school bumpers. uh, let's see. Rick says, I won't drive anything unless it has a V8 and steel bumpers. Yeah, and like your truck, Rick, and even your van's probably got a better bumper on it than my truck has. Because I remember, it's strong and steel. They don't make stuff like they used to. It used to be about quality. Now it's more like quantity, and this new stuff it just breaks so quickly. I'm looking forward today. Rick does a Mopar, gets a '69 Charger going, and I wonder if Rick will ever paint it orange, just like Dukes of Hazzard, because that was one of my favorite cars. And Rick says strawberry poop gas. Like I say, Rick is very thrifty. He's very knowledgeable, and I think if something happens, I believe Rick can survive a hard time because the knowledge he has and the thriftiness, and of course he knows where all the parking lot chicken is and where to go get the iguanas and ducks. So that's one thing about it is, when times get tough, you gotta know what you need to do. And that's one good thing about having land is one thing about these days. If you have land, you want to make sure you hold on to it. And just like for me, if times get tough where I can't get to the store, well, I will learn how to eat squirrel. I will fish, even if I have to go chop the ice to go ice fishing. I will fish. I will learn to eat. If I have to, I will safely set up to go deer hunting, and I will learn to kill a deer. I will go kill a deer, learn how to butcher and all that. I got somewhat knowledge of what my grandfather did when I was a child. I remember my mom even said the first thing to do if they go deer hunting, the first thing they do is they go ahead and get the deer butchered and they quarter it up and they put it in the smokehouse in vinegar ice water overnight to soak it to get the gamey taste out. And you couldn't even tell if it was beef or deer. And it was delicious. And my grandma was a really good cook. And of course, as my mom said, and grew up, they never bought store bought bread. They always made everything she made. And of course, we always wanted to try to mimic her recipes, but she don't have no recipes. All her recipes was in her head, and it was a pinch of this and a pinch of that, and there was no way we could mimic them. But of course, as you know now, as I'm now carnivore, a lot of that was standard diet, so I won't be eating sweet potatoes, especially when they're candy sweet potatoes. I won't be eating those. I won't be eating no more homemade bread or biscuits like that. And one of my favorites that she made was chicken and dumplings. Of course, I could try to make a carnivore dumpling, but I don't know if it's that easy to make versus the regular dumplings. So, you know, I'm glad that I may try that. I may try experiment that with that someday, but right now I'm just gonna leave it lay. Oh, we got a question here. Mason said, "What do you consider to be the greatest healing you have had on carnivore?" My greatest was the chronic inflammation that I dealt with, especially with my right hip, and not knowing that I had a discrepancy that not realizing that it was putting pressure on my foot and my left knee, that I was having chronic inflammation. And that was one of my greatest things. That was my why now, besides to lose weight. And the other thing is as time, when things don't go your way, or things is going the wrong way, you tend to get depressed. And I was starting to get a little depressed. And when I started seeing the changes, the depression just went away. I didn't even realize that, I used to snore. I know I had sleep apnea. I never was diagnosed. I never had the sleep study, but I know that I had dealt with the sleep apnea. And I noticing that a lot of times my daughter says, "You don't snore as loud." And they noticed that. So the biggest thing was chronic inflammation, besides losing almost 70 pounds. Oh, Jerry said it was a great question. Let's see where it is. Rick said squirrel is easy to cook. Let's see. That's one thing. This morning, Rick held up an orange that he grew, in which is the most natural, close to the natural oranges, are the natural orange that you have. And he said it was pretty sour, but he said sour oranges are good for soaking wild meats. And that's one thing about it, is it's so hard to find those in our stores, because what you have here for our oranges are bright orange. They're more of a big old sugar bomb. It sadly is the grapefruits are just as almost as sweet as oranges, and they supposed to have been sour. I remember in the 80s, my mom used to eat grapefruit. She was on this grapefruit diet, and she used to eat grapefruits all the time. And I decided to have a grapefruit, and I thought that was the worst thing to ever eat. So, but today, grapefruits, some of those grapefruits out there are so sweet. They're just as sweet as grapes or sugars, and it's supposed to be sour. Oh yeah. Rick says, "Oh, and who else here knows engine cooking?" Oh yeah, I heard about that. I don't know. I remember hearing about that. You cook, go cook on your engine. Yeah. I totally agree, Jerry. City life, no way. I lived 1 year. I decided to rent an apartment, and it's in a town. Probably, I was working in the factory over there, probably about early 2000s, late 99, 2000, and it's a town about 11,000 people. I decided I just wanted to get closer to work. I decided to give it a try to rent an apartment, and I didn't like it for that whole year. I ended up moving home and helping, giving my mom and dad, the rent money until I was ready to go, because I was like, there's no way that I would want to live in town. I lived in town, lived in an apartment complex. You hear your neighbors. and it wasn't pleasant at all. So yes, I'd never ever live in town. I mean, if I had no choice, yeah, it's better than being homeless. But yes, I rather live in live right where I'm at, even if I don't don't move. And Rick said cities are boring to him. Helix was talking to Rick. You can cook spaghettios on a hood of a hot car. Yeah, Jerry is saying, I just asked Thomas's channel to raid you when he is done. Oh, that'd be awesome. Let's see. Helix was saying the only thing I'm living off of is ground beef, chuck roast once in a while, all beef hot dogs, and 5 pounds of beef fat for Fat Crispies. I haven't. I have some fat in the freezer that I bought at the local farmers market last year. I was gonna render some tallow. I may render do a little render and tallow, at least save that and try that Fat Crispies because I that sounds like it's really delicious. Those Fat Crispies, crispy fat. Jerry said I graduated in 1979. I was 1 year old then. Helix says she is the class of 2012. Yeah, you graduated 1 year before my adopted sons did. I have two boys. They're twins. I adopt me and my ex-wife adopted them. That was my ex-wife's nephews to keep them from going into foster care because their mother at the time was on drugs, and so we ended up adopting them. And they're both wonderful boys. One of them lives in Oregon, and he's doing something with his ministry with Jesus, and the other one is stationed in Lawton, Oklahoma, and he's actually preparing to switch jobs. Both of them actually has sons. Terry, which is the one that's in the military station Lawton, him and his wife Emily just had a baby, and it was awesome to meet my grandson. Got to hold him. The other one, his brother Tony, him and his wife Lydia had a child, I guess, last year. It was awesome to see because I don't get to see them very often, but it was awesome to actually see them last year. And got to when we stopped overnight, me and my youngest daughter overnight before we went to the mission trip onto Del Rio and Acuna. They come by, and it was awesome to get to see my grandson. Helix said, "I turns out I had to get my main leg veins removed. There were also veins going all up and down my hip joint that got removed. Did one leg after another. I had the varicose vein LASIK surgery, and I wasn't even 30 years old. Matter of fact, I was in my 20s, and I think a lot of it was poor choice of not only the standard diet, but poor habit of smoking. I smoked cigarettes for 9 years before I quit for 9 years. And I remember I worked when I started my career in maintenance. I worked in factory maintenance. I worked for a company called Textron Automotive. They made if you look in your vehicle, the dashboards, they made the dashboards for at that factory the Chrysler minivan, the Ford, the Lincoln Aviator, Mitsubishi, and the Ford Contour and Mystique before they became the Ford Escape and whatever the Mercury, I guess Mariner. Um, I actually worked in maintenance, went into technician, and then they asked if I want to become injection molding process technician, which I wish I never took that job. That was the worst job, but constantly, the machines leaked oil, leaked water, and maintenance always said, and I vouch for them. They always want to shut the machines down, like shut them down, but they didn't want to shut them down when they kept on running and running and running. And so I end up getting a call because the machine went down, had to get it started back up. And as I'm coming around, I slipped on some oil and I hit the guardrail with my leg. And I had, working in factory, I wore jeans. I wasn't wearing shorts in the summertime. It was always jeans. And I had a little nick. Well, everything was fine, fine. And I end up had to do a mold change and not realizing that I had to go through a die space to have to get in the back, which I think was dangerous, but that's the only way. I didn't realize that I got hydraulic oil into my on my pant leg and it soaked right through there and I end up with gangrene. I almost lost my leg. I was in the hospital for 10 days. I 10 days later, they did some surgery. They had to actually take some of the tissue out. So basically, I healed from the inside out. You couldn't sew it up. I had to actually heal from that way. And after everything was done, I ended up you know, healed back to work, but I noticed that I get these infections all the time. I get cellulitis, and then the wound would heal, but then it wouldn't fully completely healed. So finally, 3 4 years later, I should have listened to a doctor I went to. He was a good doctor, and he says I can send you somewhere that get this fixed. He knew exactly what needed to be done. I just like I can't afford to take off work and all that, and so I decided not. He gave me some cream and went away. Finally, 3 years later, I said enough was enough. So I knew exactly what he said. So I ended up going to the doctor and found out that I had varicose veins. So they did that LASIK and I had them on both legs. And as soon as that changed, I started healing up. The weight dropped, but just like everything else, moderation, I still end up doing the fluctuation, weight gain, weight loss. Bride's Biscuit's here. Hi, Bride's Biscuit. It's great to see you here. Rick was saying feel lucky to never have any blood vessel issues. Well, one thing, Rick, you did the carnivore diet. You did the most healthiest thing to work. It's despite it was against all the odds, but you went carnivore, but you probably never smoked, you never chewed tobacco, you never did bad. A lot of that I think dealt with nicotine. I know some people do smoke that's on the carnivore diet. I'm not going to ditch it, but I'm going to say for me, I can't have any kind of nicotine because I have a really bad habit addiction. And like when I chewed, I think this is the Nick chewing that tobacco for that short period of time, and it was heavy. I think that was part of the cause. Besides falling on ice, I think that started, but it didn't help when I chewed in it. I think it kept me from healing properly, and that's why I had that deterioration. The good thing is when I went carnivore, I think it stopped all the degenerative on it, and this is what happened. And there's no way that it's going to heal back. It just stopped the inflammation. It stopped any further of damage, and because I had that mild degenerative on the left hip, they said, but like I have no problems on that. I have no problems of flexing. I have no problems of bending. All of that on the left side. It's only on the right side. Yeah, Rick said I never smoked, drink alcohol, and of course, never had sex. Sandy said, I am killing it on the lives. Great job. Well, thank you, Sandy. I try to do my best no matter what. Oh, look here. Thomas is here. Hey, Thomas, how's it doing? I hope you had a really great interview with Alia. And I know I try to have it on here. I was trying to go back and forth, watch your live in silence and do this live, but I'm going to go back and watch that because I really want to listen to Alia's story. And that's one thing that I am working on as time goes. Eventually, I want to do live interviews, just like Amy and Thomas does. And so when I think about probably start gearing towards, I think I'm going to wait till more spring when the snow is done, because one thing about winter is unpredictable. And for me, I need to be at my job no matter what. So like I can schedule a live stream. If I have to be at work to do snow removal, I can always post, hey, it's going to be canceled or whatever. But it's hard to do when you have, that you interviewed somebody. So that's one thing I'm looking for. And I'm thinking about next Sunday, since I did it, did a trial run and I know how to do pin and stuff. I thought about next Sunday maybe doing an open live where I'm gonna pin my, a get, street or my EV Mux guest, and I know I can have quite a few on here, and I think maybe 12 and stuff. And so um I thought about just having it since the Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not big on watching football like I used to. Yes, the team Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, they were in the Super Bowl a few times in the past. I did watch them, but I'm getting where I'm not big on sports, and I'd rather just I have more fun here doing live streams. So I thought about we just have a chit chat. We chat whatever it is, carnivore, cars, weather, whatever it is, even sports, whatever it is. I'm willing to just chat, and I'm hoping maybe next Sunday we get a good little group of people here and we can all just chat together. I'm not good with names, but I believe that Steadfast is your name, Stephanie. I believe your name is Stephanie, and uh, welcome, come on to the channel here. Thanks for stopping by. Lizzie says, "Glad Casey is out this year." I was, I'm not, I like the Packers. I also follow the Chiefs. My original football team when I was a kid it's now Arizona Cardinals, but originally they were St. Louis, and I was a little upset when they left St. Louis for Arizona, but I was hoping actually that the Denver Broncos was going to get in here because they hadn't been in for a while and they were doing really, really good. So I was hoping that that they would get in, but it looks like it's going to be the Patriots again, and we have the Seahawks. So I'm hoping the Seahawks win because I saw the Patriots win too many times. Sorry, I my apology, Sharon. I'm not good with names. I know this, but now I know. And we have the good friend George from across the pond. How you doing? How you doing, George? Glad you stopped by today before it got late. Thomas said he has EV Mux. He says that you can have up to 10, I think. I can't remember. I pay for the highest package, which it's only like $49 a month. And so I can't remember how many I can have because there was something why I went with that instead of StreamYard, because when I do something where I look up on the internet or look at where I can share web links, it the best one was the $49 one for EV Mux. But um I'm looking forward to the having a little group chat next Sunday, because that that was where I have my greatest fun, is to get together with people and enjoy each other's company through live. And so that way, I'm gonna enjoy that. So see who else, if we got anybody. Helix says it's the Chiefs though. I like Green Bay Packers and New York Giants. I always like the Packers. I followed the Packers at one time. I don't watch I quit watching professional basketball. And so I decided, I watch college basketball, but I enjoy the high school basketball better. I do watch high school basketball. My daughter plays basketball at our local school here, so I get to see her. so so I like to watch. I really enjoy the watching the kids, the local sports. And I can go into Moberly, Missouri. It's a town about 13,000 people. I may go watch some football there. I enjoy the younger, the high school and stuff versus the big sports. Now, I used to go to Cardinals games, and the only time I went was when the company gives the free tickets and stuff. So I soon rather watch our local children, our local sports. And then the college I went to school with, or graduated college at, I do watch them every now and then. But I'm not big on watching sports anymore. I used to watch a lot of NASCAR. I don't even watch NASCAR hardly anymore. Lizzie says, I was hoping for a Pittsburgh to, because I am an Aaron Rodgers fan. And we're about ready to wrap this up here soon. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sandy says, Doug and Julia is live 5:45 Eastern Time, 4:45 Central Time. So after we're done here, let's go over to her channel and let's join her and Doug for their live. If there's any more. Oh, here we go. Helix says, yeah, no, funny thing. The stadium is actually in Missouri. Now I think they're making one in Kansas. Watching sports for me, I like hockey. I have never watched hockey, but they said, I try to watch it on TV. It looks pretty boring, but they said that it is more interesting to go to a hockey game than it is to actually watch it on TV. So I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll save a little money and get tickets to the St. Louis Blues and go watch some hockey and see if it is what they said, enjoyable, or I don't know, it'd be another sport I don't care for. But I may do that. It's an adventure for me someday. So one of these days, I may do that. This is so true. Normally, when Kelly is on in a group chat, no one lets him talk. Yeah, that's one thing about it. But today, I got a little more. I got a little more talkative today on Kiltz's live this morning. That's the most I ever talked on someone else's live. Usually, I sit there and listen. I do talk a little bit, but a lot of times, like on Russ's, of course, I have to make sure since I started doing the dad jokes, Juju wanted to make sure I say a joke, so long as Russ sings, but won't be this week because I will be at my daughter's ball game. They're playing. They got court warming Tuesday on the 3rd, and of course on the 4th they have a JV game, and she's junior varsity, so I want to make sure I watch her play, and also she does cheerleading as well. So I want to make sure I support her, and since those games are this week, so I won't be there on Russ's channel live. Lizzie said, "Me too. I had the Broncos hat on, but we still lost." Yeah, I'm not a Broncos fan, but I saw how well they played this year, and I'm like, you know what? It's been a while since they made it that far. I hope they go all the way. They deserve it. Is there any more? Thomas Thomas said it's probably something I mentioned. Says that's because I was there. Felix says, "I just got a chance to sit there and look pretty." Ah, thank you. Well, I have fulfilled my duty today. I am grateful that everybody stopped by. Even after Thomas's live, I had people stop by. I'm beyond grateful. Thank you for being here today. Um, it's time to end this live because at 5:45 Eastern, 4:45 Central, or whatever time zone you're in, Julie and Doug is going to be live, and I want to make sure I'm off so they can go. And as I end each my video, I'll say, likewise, let's be kind, be positive, have a good attitude, and encourage and support one another. Y'all have a great day. God bless. And just like Mitch says, Thomas says, eat that meat. Y'all have a great day.